Hello class, today I'm going to talk about chapter 2 of Analytics at Work. I'm going to start off with just briefly introducing what we're talking about. This chapter is all about data, and so it's really interesting to find out how different companies have taken the data that they've accumulated and compiled and made it effective tools for progress and growth in their companies. So the first category that this book talks about is unique. And so what is good data? Good data is unique. So in order to have unique data, you need to find out what kind of you want to take from the data that you have. So just a quick example that they give in the book is Progressive Insurance noticed a trend that this data was accessible to many different insurance companies because that's just kind of how the insurance company works, is that everyone's accessible to the same data, but they noticed that people who weren't paying their bills on time were getting in more accidents than people who were paying their bills on time. So that just gave them an advantage over other companies to understand like those trends and to make more money off of who they were insuring. The Olive Garden used the data that they were collecting in order to be more efficient with their scheduling. They just scheduled staff when they needed to, and because they understood and were able to analyze their data effectively, they were able to make those changes in the way that they operated. And so using your data in a unique way will help you define your target market and how to effectively reach them. And it goes over that in more depth in this chapter. Integration is also touched on. It just tells you how to effectively manage your data over the organization. An example of this is master data management projects. Those are defined and reviewed, and those are very, very interesting to learn about, very effective. Quality data. What is quality data? That is defined in this chapter. What I do want to talk about is what is bad data. Bad quality data is flawed and misleading data, and that kind of data can really cause problems and not take you where you want to go. It talks about how to make data accessible in your organization, kind of like how we talked about how databases are much more effective than just spreadsheets because they can give you information on a more three-dimensional, two-dimensional level. So it talks about data warehouses and how you can make data more accessible for your company and for the use of analytics. Privacy just outlines the responsibilities of holding and using information. Tells a couple good stories of how people effectively used it. It's just really, really touchy and very hard, or very important to know your responsibilities when dealing with very sensitive information of your employees and your customers. Also talked about is the various roles of governance in an organization with using analytics, and so the two main categories are executive decision makers and owners and stewards. And so it just breaks down the chain of responsibilities in order to effectively use data. And one of the last things it talks about is data before analytics. You can't have analytics without data. And so there's a great story that illustrates this. It's a story about Albert Heijn and Palace. And Palace is kind of a thing that they start to do in order to more effectively manage their data. And the story about Albert Heijn is very interesting, and I really enjoyed reading about that in this chapter.